SJ, Stongo, Gary Fife, Jaho Jeff Giddos.
Angel Ellis.
Also joining us in the studio. I hope you all have had a wonderful holiday season so far. We got New Year's coming up.
I'm excited. I'm ready to get the new year started.
You know, when I used to work in the bar business, we called this amateur night.
Amateur night?
People who don't normally drink much tend to drink to excess.
Oh, yeah.
Do stupid things.
Yeah, I remember the young years where the drinks were flowing, but I don't do that kind of thing anymore. I have too much of a hard time recovering.
Yeah, especially that next morning when you hangover that would blind a horse.
Yeah, save myself those headaches.
Okay, well, enough of that. There'll be more of it as we come up. Our good friend Morgan Taylor was to sit in and do this show today, but a little COVID thing crept into her family, so they're taking the right precautions, and we're glad she's doing that and taking care. And even yours truly got his booster this morning.
Hey, get on the ball and take care of yourselves. It's really a thing that we all should be thinking about these days is being health conscious.
Right. So we hope that listeners are going to use some common sense and say, hey, you go in, you get a little shot, and ta-da, you're taken care of. Okay, well, anyway, you all decide on that one yourself, but we hope that you would go that way. We have a couple of things we'll be sharing today. The Looped Square Meat Market has now finally opened its doors to business and is accepting customers in there. Yep. We have a discussion given to us by Mvskoke Vision's Jared Moore, thank you, sir, who talked with the people who run the thing and has some new information. Then, of course, there'll be a little bit on the COVID thing, and then later in the second half of our program, we'll be talking to the Mvskoke Jr. Miss Royalty and their handler, so to speak. But until then, let's listen in on Jared's piece and find out new information about the Loop Square Meat Market.
The Loop Squared Meat Company is now open to the public, following a December 6th ribbon cutting. This meat processing facility and retail space was built utilizing CARES Act funding and addresses some of the food insecurity issues associated with the COVID pandemic. On hand at the event was USDA General Counsel and Chickasaw citizen Janie Hipp.
When COVID happened in those early months, I can tell you that I was not with USDA yet, but I was getting phone calls every single day from tribal leadership all over the country because the supply chain started feeling rigid and having breaks here and there. And food kept coming, but it was not as smooth, if you will. And I remember vividly getting multiple calls from tribal leaders as well as tribal producers all over the country saying, I cannot find a processing plant that can take my animals until 2023. And that's a very vivid thing for a producer because it implies that they've either got to kill the animal right then if it's ready, or they've got to feed it out for a longer period of time, all of which is not their plan. It was not their plan. And when you have a lack of significant components of a food system that include a processing and further processing plants like this one, then the producer has no options. And the communities have no options either. And what we saw, or what I was getting word from all over the country, particularly in rural areas, is that, where a lot of Indian country is and our tribal lands are, I was getting calls from folks who were saying there's no meat, there is no protein in our small little grocery store that feeds our little community or our little region around our community. And there is no solution for that other than to strengthen the food system. And so when you take a step like the Mvskoke Nation did to build this plant, then you are filling that gap. And that actually did happen. If you actually look at the language of the bills that came out of Congress around immediately in COVID and then post-COVID, they all talk about, or a lot of them talk about, food security, because it is one of those critical pieces that weaves a community together to allow them to be resilient in the face of something like COVID. And so, how do I say this? We don't think about our food system until it's not there for us. And getting out in front of that issue is, to me, what this plan is all about. When we see the rigidity, and what we saw actually pre-COVID was, little by little, rural areas have been losing their processing capacity. Or somebody who's had a small plant actually retires and nobody is there to take it up. But what happens when that occurs over and over and over again is, if you're a rancher, you end up having to haul your animals farther and farther away to get time at a plant that's open. And I know of producers in this region who've had to haul their animals all the way into Missouri or all the way into Colorado. So this is real. Native people have significant livestock interests across the country, not just here in Oklahoma, but all over the country. And so really examining, can we do this? Do we want to do this? Do we think it's important? What I'm hearing from tribal leaders all over the country is yes, yes, and yes. This is important. This is a component that a lot of people overlook in food sovereignty and in food security, but it is critical. And to be able to actually then couple it the way the Mvskoke Nation has, and have a test kitchen that actually allows people who do fruit and vegetables, maybe don't raise livestock, but they can do value added in that test kitchen and get it ready for sale. That's a huge job maker over time for a lot of other people who maybe don't raise animals, but they raise fruits and vegetables and just need a market, need to get something to a higher price point than just the raw fruits and vegetables. Lots of opportunities there. And then if you actually walk through that facility, you'll see those coolers that have a lot of other fresh foods in there. So the way the nation has actually coupled all of those things together is really inspiring to me. I can't wait to tell other people to come and visit.
The facility was also the subject of a lawsuit filed by residents of the nearby town of Winchester. This suit claims that the construction of the plant violates the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act, and alleges that wastewater from the facility contaminates the underlying groundwater. Mvskoke Media asked Ms. Hipp about the concerns listed in the suit.
The reality is that plants like this you have to go talk to the EPA. You have to go talk to the Food Safety and Inspection Service before you can even open the doors. I've actually helped stand up several plants. Those are initial conversations that start even before you break ground, and then maintain all the way through to opening, and then keep on going. So I just know what it is to actually stand up and run a plant, and you are constantly talking and interfacing with the environmental folks as well as the food safety and inspection folks. It can't be done without it. And so I hope that deals with people's fears about it, but a lot of that is just it's not real, because you can't get inspection in these plants unless you actually do that. It's important that all plants, no matter whether they intend to just sell within a state, have some degree of inspection. You have to. You're dealing with people's lives and you're dealing with food safety. But the state of Oklahoma has a food safety inspection program, but so does the federal government. Some states actually stand back and let the federal government literally just handle the inspection piece for their state. Some states have their own inspection service infrastructure, if you will. But being inspected at the federal level allows a greater magnitude of your potential markets. For instance, some plants really should only, it depends on the state law, basically, and the federal law, but some plants actually only sell within a state. It's called intra-state inspection, but some plants that achieve interstate inspection allows them to ship the product across state lines and even export. It is a Herculean effort to build a plant like this, top to bottom, soup to nuts, A to Z, in the amount of time they did. And to actually do it well enough that you have achieved all inspections. It can be done. And tribal governments are showing that it can be done over and over and over again. I'm so excited about it, but that's really an important piece of the puzzle is, who can really actually just get in there and make it happen. And the Mvskoke Nation did. And we should all be proud of that and celebrate it. And the ranchers, I can assure you, in this area are ecstatic that they have another option available to them, because most ranchers really don't want to have to haul their live animals multiple, hundreds of miles away. It's just not good for the animal. It's not good for the whole infrastructure. But it's just amazing. And the other piece of this puzzle is the care that the government took to actually have fresh food and protein available to people so they could come in and buy it. It's so good. It's so good that they've coupled that with actually making it available locally.
The Loop Squared Meat Company is located just south of the Duck Creek Casino on Highway 75, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
And we'd like to thank Jared Moore for that piece and getting out there to cover it for us. Check it out if you are driving either way on 75. It's right there just by the casino. Have you seen that yet?
I have. I've gotten to go in and look around and do a little shopping, and I've sampled some of their sausage. It's one of my favorite things is the breakfast foods, and it's delightful, great prices, and really tasty food. Kind of feeds into that whole like eating fresh and healthy, and it's farm to table. Most of that stuff is going to be grown within several miles of your home, and I loved that we got that interview because it really kind of showed the impact on the overall like agriculture industry around here and what our tribe is doing to provide options.
Well, it's good to see that moving along in terms of economics too.
Yep,
diversification of our economy.
Yeah, very, very nice to see the tribe getting into these industries that play an important role. Like as she said, during the pandemic when there were food shortages, this is an option that people in the county and surrounding area will have.
Okay, well, let's get on with it. I know people have probably tired of me harping about vaccines and things, but we do have a piece here where we talk to some of our health professionals about the vaccines, and we hope that you will be considering picking one up and taking care. There's so much at stake here, and we got to stop this darn thing somehow. Well, anyway, we're going to take a little break and listen to this piece on the vaccine event they had at the Expo Center downtown. So hang on with us.
Sean Terry, Secretary of Health, Mvskoke Creek Nation.
Now, what do we got here today? I understand we're here at the Expo Center, River Spirit Expo Center in Tulsa. We've got quite a line of cars. So what's the tribe doing here today?
So this is a mass vaccination event that we started planning roughly about a month and a half ago. We did a partnership with the Indian Health Service, and this event was going to include representatives from the Claremore Service Unit, from the Pawnee Service Unit, and from the Mvskoke Creek Nation Department of Health. And so the Indian Health Service, of course, helped us locate all of the vaccinations for this event. Our original goal was to try to do 4,000 vaccinations in 2 days here. And so we right now we had roughly a little over 2,000 people that enrolled for this event, and we're also accepting walk-ins and people that are just showing up as well. And then we're also vaccinating both native and non-native community members here. So, and this event is pretty nice. It's like a lot of our mass events that we've held in Okmulgee and Coweta and other places where it's completely drive-through. You don't have to get out of your car. You just roll your window down and you just drive right through.
Now, you mentioned a couple of times this event is open to the community. Does that mean, are you confident, first of all, that you've taken care of the tribal membership who are interested?
So we believe, Gary, that about 30 to 50% of our population have wanted the vaccine. So our initial doses that we received, of course, was focused on our healthcare workers. And then as we started receiving extra doses from there, we focused on our elder population. And so we pulled a list of all of our elderly folks that were over the age of 65, and we put them in descending order, and we started with the oldest and started working down. And we would make the phone call, we would offer them to come to one of our events, and when we got through the bottom of that list, then we started moving on to the next tier, which was those that were younger than 65, but also those that had multiple health issues, comorbidities, diabetes, heart disease. And so as long as we were able to pull lists and get large groups of people to come through our events, then we were only vaccinating the Department of Health patients, natives. As now we've kind of moved to the bottom of that list and it's getting harder for us to enroll large groups, then we've started opening these mass events up to everyone. But we are also still vaccinating every day in our facilities. We also are taking our mobile units out to the smaller rural communities. We did an event this week at Hanna, and we vaccinated 25 citizens there at the Hanna Community Center as well. So these events are going to be community-type events, but we're also still doing native only at our facilities and our smaller events.
The turnout here looks pretty impressive. You mentioned some numbers. Do you have any feel for how many of them were actually Mvskoke citizens?
I don't. I think probably they were, my best guess is, Gary, that half were probably native. And once again, these are patients that are from the Claremore area and the Pawnee area, not just the Mvskoke Creek Nation. So probably half. But we also, in our original marketing of this event, we had originally were going to market this to natives and their non-native spouses or people in their household. But as we got closer to the event, we didn't have near that 4,000 people registered. That's when we made the decision to open it up to the public.
Well, the event looks like it's really drawing a lot of interest. You've got a lot of cars outside that are parked. But there have been several concerns nationally about distribution, about amount of vaccine available. And some people had some cautions about the healthy effect of it, whether or not it could bring on something else. Have you dealt with those kinds of questions?
We have. Of course, it's always natural to be a little bit nervous when you're receiving a vaccination. I think vaccinations just in general have been controversial for a long time, whether they're positive and what the long-term effects are. So you can't hold it against anyone to being nervous about sticking something in their body. But last year was such a hard year, Gary, that we lost so many tribal citizens, so many loved ones. We also know that this vaccine's the only hope of getting us out of this pandemic. And so far, everything that we've been able to see is that this vaccine is very safe and it's been very effective. We've seen the COVID numbers just drop extremely low since this vaccine's been out over the last 3 months. And so I can't guarantee that there's not going to be any side effects, but we also know this is our only hope.
The program is, showing its worth, I think, but I think across the nation and undoubtedly here in Oklahoma, you've got a group of people who don't like the idea. Anti-vaxxers is the term. Have you run across that kind of thing either before, during, or even here today?
Sure. Yeah, we encounter people that have all kinds of feelings about vaccinations, and once again, it's easy to understand. Anytime that want somebody to put medicine in your body, you should ask questions and be cautious. But we've seen what the effects of vaccinations was. It eradicated smallpox, it's eradicated polio. For the most part, it's eradicated measles and chickenpox and all of these types of things. So vaccinations, by and large, we feel are very safe. And I know there's a lot of controversy out there when it comes to people believe that some of these vaccinations has created autism across the country. I don't know that there's anything that's hardcore evidence of exactly what those effects have been, but it's understandable, and we everybody has the right to choose what to put in their body, but I just know that no one wants to pass this deadly virus on to a loved one and to a grandmother or someone that is vulnerable. And if you've seen someone suffer with COVID where their breath is taken from their body and they can't get a breath of air, that's devastating to watch. And so I hope that everyone can pull together, get this vaccine so that we can protect our people.
One more question in that direction. I understand from what I've read and heard that most of the arguments from the people who are not comfortable with vaccines have been disproven or discredited. Are you confident that's an accurate assessment?
Well, I think so. Every bit of evidence that we've seen, I think that the science is pretty good. I'm actually very optimistic. I personally like the science behind this vaccine better than I do the old vaccines. This thing is very custom made. This mRNA transmission is some of the really, I'll use the word cool technology that I've seen developed. And we've been watching this mRNA vaccine and the things they've been doing with this technology really ever since the 90s. They started using this type of technology on different cancers. So I think it's exciting, and I know that there's a lot of questions right now about the variants of COVID, and is this vaccine going to protect us from that? So I still think we have a little ways to go, but we're optimistic.
Okay, sir. Any final thoughts there, and we'll get out of your way?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone that is participating this weekend. I'd like to thank Principal Chief Hill for all the support he gives the Department of Health, and whenever we need to pull these big events off, and anything that we can do that's protecting our citizens. Chief Hill's been right here with us to give us the resources that we need. And so between him and Second Chief Beaver, the National Council, they're always so extremely supportive of the Department of Health, and I want to thank them personally, and hope anyone that hears this comes out to get vaccinated.
Let me get your name and where you're from.
My name is Jackie Gilbert, and I'm from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Okay, what is your interest in coming over here to the Expo Center today?
I came over to get my shot due to the fact that I work in the mental health field, and I will be doing face-to-face contact with clients.
So it's kind of a precautionary thing for them and for your own health.
Yes, it is.
Now, the tribe has opened up their facilities and staff and the supply of the vaccine to the community now. It took care of tribal members as it was supposed to, but now pretty much anyone in Tulsa can come by and get a shot. What do you think of that?
It's good. I'm glad now that it is offered to everybody. My daughter probably would have got it, but she's not 16 yet, so.
She'll be there soon enough, and then you'll have your hands full, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The community has pretty much embraced the event from what I can see. Did you have any concerns about taking this vaccine at all? I know some people have nationally and things like that.
I was a little nervous just from all the reviews. I mean, there was mixed reviews, but I decided to go ahead and do it anyway, even with all the negative that I've read.
Have you had your shot yet?
Yes, I'm in the little 15-minute waiting period to make sure there's no reactions. And this was my first dose.
Right, I went through that too in Coweta. The chance to do this has really, I think, made a lot of people feel a little more relaxed or less scared just of getting a vaccine. I mean, the virus. Have you had that same kind of feeling? What was your thought after you'd been injected?
It was still just a little nervous. I mean, I've already had COVID once. Yeah, but it was like asymptomatic, so I didn't have a whole lot of, it was hardly no symptoms at all. My daughter here's had it twice. So, but yeah, like I say, it's just the nerves, just nervous.
Oh, you mentioned some symptoms. What actually affected you there?
I did lose like my taste and smell. And then I had just mild body aches, and that was pretty much it. And I had mild fever, got no higher than 99.
Are you a Mvskoke citizen by any chance?
I am actually Cherokee.
Osio Toeja.
Don't speak it though.
Well, you can change that. Now, if you had the chance to tell other people about this experience, what would you tell them?
I just tell them not to be nervous, that, yeah, you know, everybody has nerves at the beginning, but it actually wasn't as bad as what a lot of people make it out to be. And no reactions yet so far.
Okay, thank you. Is there any final thoughts you might have?
No.
I'm Admiral Travis Watts. I'm the Oklahoma City Area Indian Health Service Area Director.
All right, now it's wonderful to see the federal agency down here cooperating and working with the tribe on this project. What are your thoughts? Why is this happening?
Well, today's vaccine process is an incredible success, and the success is due to the Mvskoke Creek Nation, Department of Health, and the Mvskoke Creek Nation tribe partnering and organizing this vaccine event today. They've done a tremendous job in their planning process and able to get vaccine down here too in arms of our beneficiaries and to all the community. And the success has been because of the true partnership and work that we've done in the weeks before this event. Now you're seeing the fruition of the event come to play.
Okay, we want to thank those folks for talking with us. Is it too much, Angel, to keep hammering away on this particular topic?
I know I feel like we could spend a whole hour talking about health and still not cover the whole thing, but we got some other exciting things to talk about.
Right, and since that piece aired a little bit ago, things have changed with the new variant.
Yeah, I got a new variant and new symptoms and a new way that it transmits. It's just hard to pin it all down, but one thing we do know is that the folks who are getting the vaccination are faring a little better, so it's helping the headlines.
Okay, well, we're going to take a short pause here, and then we're going to be back and talk with Mvskoke royalty. Please stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio here on 1240 The Brew, KOKO 106.3 FM and 1240 AM. Don't go away.
Just like my big brother. And some of my friends were already doing it. We got hooked fast. I just can't get enough. I'm Jacob, and I'm addicted to playing the drums.
There's lots of stuff that makes it cool to be native. Doing meth isn't one of them. Find something better to do. Check out ncai.org. a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew. Joining us here in the studio now, we have a Junior Miss Mvskoke Nation, Gabrielle Noriega. See, I got it right that time. And joining her is the event coordinator, Luann Baird. Now, is that title correct?
Royalty coordinator, yes.
Okay. Crown boss, how's that? Well, we want to thank you all for making time. And now, Gabrielle, we're talking about looking at the end of your reign. Is that correct? You coming up there?
Mid. It's the middle part in January. Middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the middle mark.
Yeah, the middle mark.
All right. Have you've probably gotten to go out and do a few things and meet a few folks. You're probably learning some stuff. Can you give us the highlights so far?
Yes. So I have a few events that I really enjoyed because it's been a whole other experience for me. It's just been exciting, I guess. I've a list of events that I really enjoyed a lot more just because I got to meet a lot of new people and just get to, I guess, be the face of the title because I really just enjoyed being around the environment and everybody just, asking me questions about what I'm doing and how I feel about it. It's just been a new experience for me.
Well, while we're on that subject, it's got to be a big responsibility also on your shoulders. You may be the only Mvskoke person that these folks ever meet or ever hear. And does that kind of weigh on your mind? What do you think about having to carry that load?
A little bit, but I feel like I know a lot to be able to spread a lot of information out to people who don't know. Like at the Dallas at Large meeting, we had a lot of questions about, what our title was and everything like that. And, just being able to spread the information about the pageant and being able to spread information about the whole title, it really showed, and it opened my eyes a little bit more just because I know now how much it's really important.
So is there a lot of preparation that kind of goes into that? We were taking these young ladies and kind of walking them through being this kind of representation. Is that something that you guys spend a lot of time prepping on? Maybe Luann, you can kind of give us an idea of what that's like.
Yes, just like she talked about going to Dallas. We ride together and we talk about things and what's going to happen and how to answer situations. And we even have code words in case something happens and they're feel like they're in danger. Mm-hmm. We have a little code word we use to get them out of it. Mm-hmm. And we talk about these things all the time. And the different people they'll meet. Again, Dallas, and then we went to the Miss USA pageant. And there, on Culture Night, she had explained to a lot of people that within the whole United States may have never seen a Native person in their life. Mm-hmm. And then for them to come to our resort and have a pageant there and got to meet her and see her and her regalia. She had answered questions about her different crowns.
I'm so curious about this pageant experience. Yeah. Did you ever dream that you would be on that kind of a scene and meeting those kind of folks? What was that like for you as a young person?
Like I said, it was a whole other experience. And the day of the pageant, I actually had told my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm actually really scared. I'm nervous. And she was like, it's okay, it's different. It's a new experience. Mm-hmm. You've never done anything like that before. So, a lot of it mainly goes, for being so young, mainly most of it is having the support system, mm-hmm. Being able to just be around people who want you to do better and, that actually support you and talk you up. It really has helped a lot. And
you're using some of those softball terms. We're talking up our team, right? I feel like there's some background in there. Mm-hmm. How does that kind of set you apart, do you think, from, say, the people that you are meeting at the Miss, USA pageant and stuff like that? You've got this background. I see your all clans, emblem with the team, and I kind of get the sense that you're one of those team players, and that you feed off that. So what's been the big thing for you as a young person coming into this new team and this new role?
I've always been good with adaptation, just like being able to be around new people and just like going off of the vibe they're giving off. And so it was different meeting the Miss USA pageant, like the candidates and stuff like that, because, they're kind of more individually based, I guess. They're more of like to themselves. And so it was different because I have like a teammate. Claudia is like my teammate, and so is Luann. They're my teammate. That's my team. And so, I think being the princess, the junior miss, it's different just because it's a different team. So, the support they give me every day, it picks me up a lot better.
Well, let me throw a kind of a serious question in here. You mentioned a code word, and I presume there is some security concerns. There's been a lot of belated focus on missing and murdered Indian women and the plague that we're enduring. And it would seem like Gabrielle would be a target. It's always these beautiful young women that are getting attacked and whatever. So, Luann, Gabrielle, how does this sit in your mind? Because that's something you really can't be separate from, I don't think.
Well, just like today, we posted that we were going to be here, but not more than 30 minutes before we were going to be here. A lot of times I don't post days ahead because unless it's on a flyer and it's somebody else's event, because of that situation. We are afraid of those things, and that's my job, is to keep them safe at all times. And so there are situations that, we don't post ahead of time. We may post afterwards or during. We try to, when we go to big events, we take 2 chaperones instead of 1, in case I need to be sitting with one and one may need to go to a concession. I have someone to go with them. We don't separate them. We have to have someone with them at all times. And that is a big, big concern of us. For us, but I have a 25-member committee, and we talk about these things, and they are my extra chaperones, and they, I ask for volunteers to go with me to these events.
Taking that one step further, and however weird this may sound, but are any of those chaperones or escorts ever armed?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not allowed to take anything like that with us. But we do have on our calendar is to take defense classes. They had asked for that before. We chose that over etiquette classes.
At least we know in the Mvskoke royalty we're well protected.
And you know which fork to use. Now, same question to you, Gabrielle. Does that ever kind of weigh on your mind that there are bad people out there wanting to do stupid things?
At times it does, but I try not to think about it as much just because I'd rather be focused on the upside of everything. I do worry about it, but me and Claudia are like smart enough to know to get out of the situations that could lead up to things like that. But yeah, at times I do think about it,
But a well-prepared person is a person who knows how to handle themselves in any situation. And it sounds like between this large committee and your advisors that you have like a lot of help on that. I'm kind of like on to like the really happy mark, and like I just want to know, because I got to watch how you guys were during the pageant, and I saw the broadcast, and it was a little bit different and not quite the same experience we're all used to, but it's a wonderfully adapted experience. Can you just kind of tell us, I'm just so curious because it's the first time I got to meet you. I'm sure you've had to explain this a few times, but what's that like to put yourself out there to go out for something like this? Is it scary? Is it rewarding? Is it all those things? Kind of let us know what's going through a mind of somebody who is thinking about like, maybe I want to do this, or what would you say to them?
Have confidence. That's one big thing you need to have when you're going into the whole pageant and princess reign. You have to have a lot of confidence when you speak. I went into the pageant not knowing anything about being a princess. I haven't really held like a major title before. I've held one title, but it was a middle school title. But it's just like the whole pageant experience. It was different, but like I said, it all becomes down to the support that you have. Once you have the support and the confidence and you know what you're going to do, and you go in with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do great, I'm going to do good, I got this, It's just a mindset like that. So once my mom was telling me, you can do this, you have a great mind, you know how to speak, I took that as fuel, and I just really put it into the pageant and the princess thing. So the whole experience was great. It was amazing, meeting the girls and the contestants and former princesses and the committee. It was perfect.
Is that hard preparing, because these like young ladies are like right next to you, have the same aspirations? So when you're up there on stage, and you've probably met them before, or you probably know these young ladies, is it difficult to be in competition for the title with them?
Yes, it's difficult, really. It's like the same as going to like a tryout, like for softball, it's like a tryout, and you're trying out against, girls you probably know, you've played with for your whole life. It is different, and it's kind of harder just because you just want all of us to win. So that's why I think it's a little bit harder.
Yeah. But that you have to, like, there's going to be a winner chosen. So
Yes.
you guys support each other
Yes.
once you do find out who's the winner. It seemed like there was a really, just watching it from the video, I felt like there was a lot of kinship between the
Yes.
contestants.
That's always a curious one. It's not like you're being chosen for shortstop, but I was always wondering kind of what you guys might talk about when you're kind of waiting for the next event to happen, or you're standing backstage in line ready to go on.
Do you encourage each other behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Yes, there was a lot of that, actually. Most of us were nervous, but we all just kind of sat together at the backstage. It'll be all right. You're gonna do great. You're gonna do amazing. I had my contestants I was running against. They were really supportive. They were super sweet, really nice. So I don't know. It's just like in the moment I was just like, oh my gosh, one of us are gonna win. But we're all gonna support each other no matter what. So backstage, that's where your real support comes through when you need it.
Well, that's good to hear. I always like to hear that. What have you been preparing for coming up? Like, what events have you done? What do you want to tell us about? What do you have on the plate coming up for the next half of your reign?
Okay. A bunch of past events I really enjoyed. I feel like July was probably our most busiest month, because we had the at-large meeting, and we actually learned the Lord's Prayer in sign language for an event at River Spirit. And then we had intertribal. And then I did a towel drive for my dormitory that I attend. I attend the Eufaula dormitory, so, I just wanted to kind of do something to give back to them, especially, you live in the dormitory, so you know what goes on. But for upcoming events, I think we just have Challenge Bowl, actually.
That's one of the big ones coming up.
Yes.
It's an exciting time. Challenge Bowl is a big deal. Tell me a little bit about your experience being a princess and having the connection to the Eufaula dormitory. Is there ever a time when you kind of like wake up and think, okay, maybe I can be an inspiration to some of my, classmates or some of the younger ones coming up? Is that something that you think about on the regular?
Yes. There's this a girl there, and she knew me because of my title, and I was like, oh, well, it's nice to meet you. She said, yeah, my family knows you and everything like that. I was like, oh, it's nice to meet you, and she was like, yeah, I was thinking about running and everything like that. And I was like, oh, okay, just encourage her and everything. I try to be a big encouragement for my peers, I guess you could say. I try to be outgoing and kind of, pick up the name for the Eufaula dormitory name. And I think this title has really helped me a lot on being a lot more confident. Most of it is really being able to speak and everything. So how I communicate with everybody, it kind of helps a lot, just because they feel like most kids want to feel mature when they're being talked to, rather than, being talked to like a little kid. So,
Sure.
That's why most of them kind of do talk to me and like to be around me, is because I like to speak to them the more mature tone, just because, we are young adults. Like in high school, we are young adults. So
Grown-ups in
everything
training.
like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking of training, we have things that you want to prepare for and be ready for public reaction and things like that. Now, it can't all be positive. I mean, there's got to be a hard time when somebody's either jealous or utters something stupid. Have you run across that? I mean, are your friends still your friends, or people you giving you that negative influence?
I try not to be around people who do give off negative, influence and everything. If they do, I just kind of push it down with confidence and, positive attitudes because, when you grow up, you realize that you don't want that to be around you. You don't want somebody being negative towards you every day or just because they're jealous of you. So I try not to focus more on that. I still have all my friends, and so it's just been a little bit harder trying to hang out with them and everything, but it's a balance.
The one challenge would probably be the time constraints kind of thing. That's something I think we all have to learn to navigate too. I felt like as a grown up, that's something, a skill you'll always need. I'm always kind of weighing and measuring, what's gonna give me the reward or thing I'm after with the time that I have. So I'm glad you have that really nailed down in your mind, that sometimes you just need to say, hey, I don't have no time for the negative nonsense. That's great.
Well, has it really affected your social life? I know young people naturally want to spend time with each other, your friends or boyfriends or whatever else. Do you trade in one life there for the role now that you occupy?
No, I put the title before anything just because, this is a one-time experience and friends will always be there for you, whether they're supporting you or not. So that's why I put this title before, social life, because, this is a one-time thing. This is once-in-a-lifetime thing. So, I don't know how to explain it. It's just I try to do time management, because I do have other things going on. But, once there's an event, I need to be there, because it's a title, you have to show the tribe that you're there no matter what. So
sometimes movie night with the buddy is going to be after the business is
Yes.
done.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. So we've kind of noticed over the last few years, things have changed a little bit and you guys have kind of had to adapt greatly. Can you give us some kind of insights on the different changes that the scholarship pageant has experienced over the last few years and what you guys have done to kind of accommodate and keep it rolling?
It changes every single year. Our application, it was ready as of today because we had to change things in it. One of the things is it's open to young ladies 14 to 24, and it was either high school or college. Well, now it's come to our attention that some people aren't made for college. They'd rather go to a career. They would rather go to a vocational or a trade school. That's what they want to do with their lives.
Sure.
So we just changed that in our application. You can now go to a vocational or trade school. That's the higher education. That's to get them where they're going.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-year college anymore.
Right.
Well, that's interesting.
So that was, and that's just one of the things that came up, within the past few years.
Does that open it up for more applicants, you think? Okay.
It sure does. And it's just something that came to our attention, and we realized, we needed to change, because that's what our goal is to promote them and to, get these young ladies to where they need to be. We take them out in all these places to meet people so they can, move on in their future.
So
that's really amazing, and I'm so glad to hear that, because I've known some women who are just pretty amazing truck mechanics, and they were sharp as a tack, knew what they were doing, well committed into their vocation, but it wasn't higher ed.
Right.
I don't need to, do the cap and gown thing. If this gives me a wonderful life, then so be it. So I'm glad. Now, while we're kind of fiddling with the subject, if a woman is interested in applying, what are the requirements and qualifications?
Well, our qualifications are for our junior miss, you have to be the ages 14 to 17 and enrolled in an Oklahoma school. And then our miss is 17 to 24, attending college or technical school within Oklahoma. And you have to reside in the state of Oklahoma because our events are at the last minute. I mean, we scheduled this one 2 days ago.
Okay.
And so that's what it is to get all these and a lot of our events are like that. I mean, Tulsa Parade, we found out 4 o'clock Friday. And
Yeah.
we were there the next morning.
You know, that sounds like this show.
Yeah. Us this morning, like
Yeah.
making our arrangements. Yeah.
And now their grade point average is a 2.5 or higher, and they have to be an enrolled citizen of the Mvskoke Creek Nation. They cannot be a dual citizen.
Okay.
So, and there's more to that. Like I said, our application is going to drop January the 3rd. It is going to be on our website, which is the MvskokeRoyalty.com, and it's Mvskoke spelled M as in Mary, V as in Victor, Skoke.
Okay.
Royalty. So we do have that. Also want to talk a little about the applications coming out in January. It's due back March the 4th. And then we also, when you talked about her getting ready, we have a royalty retreat April the 2nd, and that's held at our college. And we assign them language coaches. And
wow.
so she can do her introduction, and when they're on stage, then they can just do it because they have that person from that day all the way to pageant.
So they do a lot of learning through their reign too. So.
Right, and we have different categories, and we have like the interviews, self-introduction, their talent, impromptu questions. During Royalty Retreat, we have former misses. They come in and they teach them all those and how to go through that. So they have all the training before they get there.
Okay.
We also have vendors. So if they don't know where to get a dress, moccasins, beadwork, anything, we have vendors that will take orders, sell things to them, whatever they're needed then.
Okay.
So we get them all completely prepared, and we just started something new. And like you said, we change every year. So this year we started another thing, and we're going to call it Royalty Ready. And that's on May the 7th, because usually on pageant day we're trying to run through the stage work and get everybody ready. We're going to do this a month ahead of time. They're going to do their run through, do their talent. That way we know what we need to have for them and what they need to bring. We go through the whole day with them. And so when it's ready for pageant day, which is going to be June the 4th, they're ready. So we've got 3 dates, and they'll be ready to
So
go.
like a lot of practice in between time. So now's the time, if you're thinking about it, to January 3rd, that application's going to be ready for people to take care of. If they want, they're even thinking about it, they need to do it. Is there any reason that they should procrastinate? Why wait? Get it done early. And then where can they find that application?
On our website, and it's www.mvskokeroyalty.com. And again, Mvskoke is spelled M, V as in Victor, Skoke.
Okay.
Gabrielle, the final decision to participate in this event, was that hard? I mean, did you kind of vacillate a bit before you made that final commitment, or was it easy? Just, I'm going to do this.
I think once somebody finally just talked to me and was like, you can do it. You have the necessities you have to be able to be the junior miss. It finally clicked in my head that, okay, I'm going to do this. The final decision was, I'm already set. I'm going to do it. I did my application. It's already submitted. I'm going to do it. And so at first, that's whenever I was kind of, iffy on it, just because I hadn't had the experience before, and, I've never been put in this big title, in this big role. So, at first it was just kind of, maybe not. But once I made my final decision, I knew that I was going to run.
Let's do this.
So would there be any final kind of advice you would give to some girl out there who's thinking about it? What would you say to them who's thinking, maybe I would like to do it, but I'm just not sure?
Not to be afraid. I'm saying, don't be afraid to do anything out of your comfort zone. It'll benefit you in the end once you finally get over I'm scared to do it. I'm scared that, I'll be embarrassed, everything like that. Just do it.
All All right. Hey, just get out there and give it a shot.
Have confidence.
That's right.
She has so much confidence. I mean, I'm sitting here listening to her responses, and I'm thinking, God, this girl has got it together.
Yeah, and it's a junior miss, and I'm just sitting here really excited because like our department has gone out and found the former misses, and they do highlights on them, and I just can't wait to see where you are down the road when we do your highlight. I think it's going to be an amazing story.
Oh, gosh, yes. All right, well, I tell you what, we're going to have to wrap this up. If you got a phone number real quick, Luann?
So, yeah, if anybody has some questions, who do they need to get a hold of?
I caught her, huh?
Uh-oh.
Just go ahead and use our main phone number is 918-549-2557, and that's to our Youth Services Department, and that's a department we're under, so it's Mvskoke Royalty.
All right, wonderful.
Okay, wonderful. You have done an amazing job here, Gabrielle, and we're proud of you.
Hello.
Okay, we're going to have to get out of here. We got a few seconds left. What do you think, Angel?
I just want to wish everyone a really happy, safe, and, great new year.
Yes, and remember, it is amateur night, so be careful when you're out there.
Yeah, like, don't drink and drive, call an Uber. It's too easy to get a ride these days. Just don't even try it.
Right. Okay, well, that's all we can share with you today. We have plans to have our principal chief join us next week, the first show of the year.
Yep.
We'll be talking about the year we just managed to get through. And what's on our horizons?
I think the horizon has allergy meds for me.
Okay. Well, I think that's just wonderful. So, unless there's something else, we're out of time anyway. Let's get out of here. Mado Mabuhay. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.